الحمد لله نحمده سبحانه ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفوته من خلقه وحبيبه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في سبيل دينه حتى أتاه اليقين فاللهم اجزه عنا وعن والدينا وعن الإسلام والمسلمين خير ما جازيت به نبيا عن قومه ورسولا عن أمته اللهم أحينا على سنته وأمتنا على ملته واحشرنا تحت لوائه وأوردنا حوضه واسقنا من يده الشريفة شربة هنيئة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا اللهم آمين. We understand that fasting is one of the pillars of Islam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set for us something as a goal for fasting. He said كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Fasting has been prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may, and then I will translate tattaqun, briefly said it is to be mindful of Allah, which means to mind Allah in your choices, to be observant of Allah's rules before you behave, whether it is talking, whether it is doing something or accepting something or refusing something. To be mindful means you check with Allah as to what is pleasing to Him and what is not. How do I check with Allah on every decision? I have to learn my deen, and I have to be willing to upgrade my level of commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you have commitment, you have the discipline within that commitment, but before these two, you must have the knowledge. And unfortunately, Muslims do not pay attention to acquiring the knowledge they need to live as Muslims. So what do they live by? They live by either thoughts or inherited cultural habits and customs. This has been detrimental to our ummah. The level of knowledge in our ummah is going down, it's not going up. Even though the level of Islamic awareness is going higher, but Islamic knowledge is not going higher. Awareness means your sense of where you are, what is your environment, what are the givens that influence your choices and your behavior. But knowledge means the knowledge of the guidance of Allah. What does Allah want me to do? What is preferred for Allah? And what Allah likes me to consider of elements, measures. So you look at the Quran, you look at the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and it is meant to be a standard for everything. So what is the standard for my tongue? وَإِذَا قُلْتُمْ فَعْدِلُوا. When you speak, be just and be fair. Okay? وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا. And say what is good when you speak to people. People, everybody, Muslim, non-Muslim, relative, non-relative, people you like, people you don't like, say what is good. What are the other standards? The other standard is idfa' billati hiya ahsan. Push back. So even if somebody is attacking you, push back with that which is better, something that improves the discussion or the situation. So we need these types of knowledge. The standards for my tongue. What are the standards for my eyes? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Say to the believers to lower their gaze, which means look down. When you see a sister coming to your face, look down. Don't look straight in her face. Okay? That's a standard. Okay? وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. Don't try to dig deeper into areas of knowledge that you are not meant to explore or to dig. Like what? In the statement of some of the scholars, تفكروا في آلاء الله ولا تفكروا في ذات الله فتهلكوا. Think about the bounties of Allah. Think about His creation. Think about why He did everything the way it is. And don't think about the being of Allah, because this is destructive. And in our history, even when Muslim scholars started to imitate and borrow the tools of philosophers, Western philosophers and other people, we started to deviate. We started to box our aqidah in the box of Western philosophy. What is Western philosophy relying on? What is the source of Western philosophy? It is the mind. So when the mind, which is supposed to be in Arabic al-aql, reasoning, is let loose, it can go anywhere. But when the mind, al-aql, is ma'qul, which means it's tied by principles, tied by limitations. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us with physical limitations, mental limitations, and that's why when Musa asked Allah and told him, Rabbi arini anzur ilayk, oh Allah, show me so that I can look to you and see you. قال لن تراني. He said, you will not see me. Your eyes are not made for that. You don't have the capacity. Likewise, our brains have limitations on imagination. We can only imagine things that can relate to something we know. So we know the unknown by thinking of the known. And this is one way that we understand and believe in the unseen world, the intangible world, علم الغيب. We believe in al-ghaib based on what we witness in real life. What do we witness in real life? We see grains, dry and hard, put in the sand or the dust or in the earth, and given some water, it turns from a dry, very hard grains into what? Into sprouting grains. It starts to sprout, starts to grow. Then it produces fruits. So we see that something from dead to life. And we see definitely how living things end up dying, right? And then we see other things that come back to life every season. تؤتي أكلها كل حين بإذن ربها. It produces and sprouts and produces its fruits and produce every season. So we see things coming to life, dying and phasing out, and then coming to life in the next season. So we see life and death. That's how we believe that when we die and go to dust, we are definitely and certainly coming back to life by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was a difficult issue for the disbelievers who rejected Islam based on the fact that Islam told them, you are going to be resurrected. Then they said, our آباؤنا الأولون. What about our forefathers? Says, yes, everyone will be resurrected. So they say, فَأْتُوا بِآبَائِنَا إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Bring our fathers back if you are truthful. But we need to be reasonable. When we ask evidence from Allah, we need to be rational. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never told those people that you will be resurrected during this life. He told them you will be resurrected after you die. Then they say, okay, so our parents died, bring them here. But that's not even logical, because he didn't say that you will be back here to this life during other people's life. He said in the hereafter. After what? It's after death you will come back. So that difficulty is seemingly to us very superficial, because now science have already proven that we came from dust And when we die, we all know that we end up being in the dust. So if we came from dust and went back to dust, there is no impossibility for Allah to bring us back from dust or from nothing. He created us from nothing. So why is this difficult? Why am I talking about this issue? It is because recently and currently some of our youth are having difficult questions with their faith because of false assumptions, false reasoning, and false conclusions. This is what the Quran teaches us, to trace where the issues really are. But unfortunately, we are trying our best to appease our kids, our youth in particular, so that they stay in the faith, but without answering their questions, at least not to their satisfaction. So we end up pushing them away from Islam while we are trying to convince them that Islam is the way forward. So what we need to really focus on is, in what way does fasting relate to knowledge, relate to becoming pious and righteous? These are very logical steps. Fasting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes it as كل عمل ابن آدم له إلا الصوم فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به. Everything righteous or good that you do, it is for you, except fasting. It is for Allah. What does this hadith mean? Because we pray for Allah, right? We do something good. All the good we do, we're doing it for Allah. Why is this hadith and what does it mean? This hadith is meant to tell us that fasting is a very personal and private practice or worship in our deen. See, when you make salah, when you pay zakah, when you go for hajj, whatever you do of sadaqah, it is bound to be known to somebody. But your fasting could only be known to Allah. You could always hide somewhere, break your fast, and nobody would know. So why do you fast? In public and in private, because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So fasting brings awareness of the presence of Allah to the highest point, which is, oh Allah, I am observing your rules, all your rules, not just food and drink, but I am observing all your rules. I am tying my tongue. I am tying my head so that it does not spin out of control. I am tying my desires. I am tying my relationships. Which means what? I am limiting all of those to what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that my fasting is acceptable. So fasting is a real opportunity to rethink our entire life, from the foundation of knowledge to skills and attitudes, to the way we deal with each other, to the way we deal with issues that come to us, to the way we build a community or a family or a nation. Fasting is a school and a spiritual boot camp for 1 month every year. Imagine if there is a camp that you must attend every year to teach you good food habits. And you see the change, you see the effect of managing and controlling your food desires to fit your health needs. After you do this, do you want to squander a whole month of training? What if you have to attend this training every single year, 1 month? This must be a changing element in our life. It must change us. So when we start our fasting, like 8-9 days ago, and reach the 3rd of the month, we should take account of what happened. Am I improving? Am I closer to Allah? Am I learning more of my deen? Am I improving in my behavior? Am I improving in using my tongue? All of these questions are relevant to measure up at the end of Ramadan how much more righteous or pious I have become. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. لَعَلَّ means so that you may become righteous. Which means what? Allah knows. that when we come to the month of fasting, we are not as righteous as we even want to be or even claim to be. We come to Ramadan and submit to Allah fully, much more than any other time. You see the Jum'ah prayer in Ramadan, you see the Taraweeh prayer in Ramadan, you see how even people who may not have prayed the whole year, they are attracted to come to be with the whole community. That is an opportunity for doing what? This is an opportunity to renew our commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once you renew your commitment, then you must follow by applying what you learn to your life, to benefit from what you learn. And in Ramadan, we learn from how to control our desires, how to control our eyes and ears and tongues, how to control our hands, how to control our environment. So we only spend time with good people, more or less than more than any other time. Okay? And in Ramadan, you also get more to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's one more step of discipline. In Ramadan, you read Quran more than any other time in the year. That also should enhance our knowledge. Some people in Ramadan, they compete. I finished the Quran once, I finished the Quran twice, I finished the Quran 3 times. That's not the issue. All Muslim scholars have said it is not about how fast you finish the Quran. It is about how much you learn from the Quran. The Quran is not meant as a book to be finished or finished with. The Quran is meant to be a book that guides and controls what we believe, what we think, and how we behave. 3 questions. 3 questions. Umar ibn Khattab used to say, حاسبوا أنفسكم قبل أن تحاسبوا. Hold yourself to account before you are held to account. وزنوا أعمالكم قبل أن توزن عليكم. Put your deeds on the balance, on the scale, before they are put on the scale on the day of judgment. This is what Ramadan should teach us. Ramadan also helps us break with some habits that we think at times we can never break off of it. Like those of us who cannot go to work without a cup of coffee in the morning. In Ramadan, they do. Those of us who cannot break with the smoking habit. In Ramadan, they stop smoking. So all what you need to do, carry on those good habits. And one of the greatest Muslim scholars of the 20th century used to say, the best habit to have is to have no habit except if it is ibadah. The best habit to live by is to tie yourself to no habit. Because when you tie yourself to any habit, you become a slave to that habit. You become a slave to your coffee, to your cigarette, to your this, to your that, as if you can't live without it. Ramadan comes to tell us we can. Also, some of us, in days other than Ramadan, when they go home and the dinner is not ready, or it is not fully ready, right? They can't wait 5-10 minutes for the dinner to be ready. But in Ramadan, we learn we can. We can wait a whole day to take a meal. So Ramadan helps us rediscover the inner real powers that Allah has installed in us that we lack in other time, and we don't use or invite those powers of control, powers of limiting the control of habits on our behaviors and choices. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us become pious by the end of this Ramadan. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وبعد. Ramadan is meant to be a season and an opportunity to reconsider all of our habits that we normally enjoy and brag about the rest of the year, and to start looking at this question: are those habits good for me? Are they serving my purpose? Are they advancing my cause to get to paradise? What are the benefits of the habits I'm holding on to? Could I start giving up some of those bad habits and start doing something different? So outside of Ramadan, one of the things is some people say that they have difficulty waiting to sleep after Isha. So they sleep before Isha, right? And in Ramadan, the vast majority of Muslims, they are happy to spend the night in prayer, the whole night. And they are not tired, right? Except a few of them. But this is far different from what we claim is impossible. So we understand again in Ramadan, and we discover we can pray more, we can stay up more, we can be patient for food, we don't have to fight with our wives over food and trivial stuff. We don't have to. So if in Ramadan we do not rediscover, then Ramadan will be lost. How do we focus so that we rediscover? It is that you always compare your situation outside of Ramadan vis-a-vis Ramadan. And you will find Muslims divided into two groups. Muslims who understand what Ramadan is about, they become more patient in Ramadan. Muslims who don't understand what Ramadan is for, they come to fasting and they are nervous. They are, they say, I'm up to here, I'm fasting, don't talk to me. As if fasting makes you a worse person. Some people in Ramadan, they want to spend the whole day sleeping because they are fasting. But Ramadan is the season when Muslims fought some of their best battles against those disbelievers who attacked them. So it was not a sleeping season. It was an active season of engaging life, defending life, promoting life. Not any life, but a good life. So we need to look deep down in our heart and ask ourselves, what are my bad habits? And the shortest cut answer to this is to look back at the critique your mom used to give you, the critique your teachers and classmates used to give you, the critique that people who live with you keep telling you, you have this bad habit. Those are things that are obvious. You have heard it 100,000 times. At least cut those out. And also habits that are obviously hurting you. So if someone is smoking and he has been going to the doctor who has been telling him, quit, your lungs are getting bad, they are not going to serve you, then it doesn't need digging. You already know. All what you need to do, use Ramadan as a season to cut out some of your bad habits. And bad habits are not only in the health arena or in the diet arena or in smoking and eating or in any of that. Bad habits are bad attitudes. But also, bad attitudes come from bad thoughts. And bad thoughts come from bad beliefs. When I think that people are cheaters and liars and all of this, I will develop paranoia because I wouldn't trust anybody. That's an attitude. Where does it come from? From my own belief. So I accumulate some belief system from which I operate, and it guides my habits, my choices, and my behavior. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide our hearts to believe in Him and to trust Him and to believe the best of everyone around us unless proven otherwise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open our heart for His worship, open our heart for His fasting, for obedience, for commitment, and for knowledge. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت. اللهم اقسم لنا من رحمتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقوتنا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا، ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا، ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا إلى النار مصيرنا. وإذا أردت بقومنا فتنة فنجنا منها يا مولانا، غير خزايا ولا مفتونين ولا مبدلين ولا مغيرين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم، فستذكرون ما أقول لكم، وأفوض أمري إلى الله، إن الله بصير بالعباد. وأقم الصلاة.